What is going on, my scrumptious minions? This is xIrishTricks, and today you guys are viewing some Modern Warfare 3 gameplay. But today I want to talk to you guys about a little story, because it's story time. It's a late night commentary, guys. It's really late at night. And one quick announcement. Nothing too special, but it's my birthday tomorrow. So I just want you guys to know that the May 12th date, time period, is when I was born. In 96 to be precise. So anyways, I'm turning 16 years old, and I guess it's a huge milestone for a teenager. 16 is supposed to be like a huge number, but I don't feel any different, and it's only about, actually it's only 45 minutes away from being 12 o'clock at midnight. So yeah, later night commentary, guys. I don't give a damn because it's not a school night, so I can stay up as late as I want. But the story I want to share with you guys today is my experience with sports. And I just want to share this with you guys because personally I find my varsity achievements something that I never thought I would get to, and I want to share my story and how I finally got to varsity. I mean, I'm not officially varsity because I've been on and off varsity because I've gotten injured or got sick, and then when I get injured and sick I lose conditioning, so even when I'm healthy I got to get that conditioning back. Plus there are some really good athletes at my school I got to compete with. So anyways, I run cross country and track, so I don't do any other sports besides those two things. So I'm a runner basically. And at first, running seemed impossible. Back in 7th grade, my dad was like, alright, if you're not going to do football, basketball, baseball, or soccer, you have to do cross country. And I was like, but Dad! Because honestly, I was that kind of kid who would just keep to himself. I had my close friends, and I would just doodle in notebooks and do my homework and get good grades. And I would never, ever associated myself with athletes or sports in general. My parents would be like, well, let's go to a Brewers game. I'd be like, I don't wanna. I mean, the only kind of fun thing about a Brewers game is the fact that you get to hang out with your family and watch a good game. But the Brewers this season are kind of, I don't know, pooping it out. Not doing very well. But besides that, let's get back to the story. So I was not an athlete at all. In fact, I was probably the weakest kid in my school. I was way out of shape. So then I took up cross country. And my dad's like, okay, every day for the next month, you're going to have to run a mile. And he thought track was going to be first. And track, the huge distance you're going to go is a mile. Where in cross country, at least in middle school, it's 2 miles. So I had trained going a mile, and I thought a mile was long back then. Just a few days ago, I just ran 8.5 miles without stopping and then did sprints with my team. So I've come a long way. So anyways, I was running and running, getting terrible times. I just wanted to get through this just so my dad would be happy. When the season ended, I was like, I am never running again, Dad. And he's like, it's too bad because within a month, you've improved on your time by 4 minutes in my races. So I knew I was improving. I just didn't like it because it still hurts. Like, it's not an easy sport, guys. Just because there's no balls involved doesn't mean it's not a sport, and it doesn't mean it's not challenging. Some people are just like, oh, it's just running. What do you mean it's just running? Running is like what makes all sports challenging. You got to condition yourself. The hardest part in football is like running the ball, I guess. I mean, no, there's catching. Catching's very important too. But you know what I mean. You got to sprint 100 yards to get to that touchdown. So you got to have good conditioning. So I was terrible. I was just terrible. I was always really, really close to being last, but I never got last in a race ever. That's kind of an accomplishment. So then, come 8th grade, I didn't practice over the summer and the off season. Sorry, my nose is kind of stuffy. Allergy season. So yeah, I did track, but track in middle school was like nothing because the practices, all I would do is sprints in the 100-meter, and I was terrible. But the races were over quickly, and practice was just practicing handoffs, passing baton, and whatnot. And I did not improve at all from track. So I basically went a whole year without conditioning, and in 8th grade I was terrible yet again. Then came high school, which is completely different than middle school cross country. I got my butts whipped into shape. Very first day, wasn't even a day. Our first practice was actually at midnight because coaches are not legally allowed to train their team until a certain day. So when it turned 12 o'clock midnight exactly, became the next day, was our first practice. And it was really easy. Actually, we went on a 2.5 mile run around my town. And then on the same day, after a few hours of sleep at 3 o'clock, we had our first practice where we went like 4.5 miles, 5 miles maybe. And me being in such poor shape, I was dead. Like, you don't even... I got home that day, and I just looked at my mom and dad and just flat out said, I just ran 4 miles. And they were ecstatic. They're just like, oh my gosh, we're so proud of you. And I just looked at the floor, and I was just in a daze. Like, I couldn't believe how far I just run. I mean, I didn't run it well, but I finished it. I understand the gameplay's over. I might add a second gameplay in here, because I don't want to end the story here. You guys know this. I don't like ending stories in like 2 parts because I never get around to posting part 2. Okay. So then, after running the 4 miles, I was looking at my dad. I'm just like, Dad, I can't do this. And he's like, too bad. He always says that. Even if I don't want to run now, he'll just say, too bad. And I'll just keep running. I mean, I've kind of grown on it now, so I don't mind running. And I'm not going to quit it because I actually have potential. So, after that day, I went through the season, did okay, and once the season ended, I had improved greatly. Like, I was running times I had never thought I'd be able to run before. Like, back in elementary, I would run my mile in like 13 minutes, which is crazy because it's terrible. It's just terrible. And then in high school, I was running it in like 6 minutes. And I don't even know what I can run it in now. I have not timed myself this year. And my last mile I did was like a 6:10, I think. But that was like a year ago. And I have not timed myself since. So, I'm going to get around to doing that eventually. So, I improved a lot. Alright? And the reason being is because track in high school is so much more difficult. It is probably more difficult than cross country when it comes to the practicing, because you have to practice so much because you're running all different kinds of races. When in cross country, all of your races are 3 miles, at least for the boys. Girls run 2.5 in my state. So we have to practice for all different kinds of races because we had an extremely small team this year, and I have to run all of the races that we don't have people for. So that's kind of given me potential to, or giving me an opportunity to grow, I should say. And now I am just beasting. Besides the fact that I have shin splints and a bad hip currently, I am still our best JV runner. If I were to be put on JV, I'm our best JV distance runner. I'm not a sprinter at all. I don't even know why I did sprinting in middle school track. I just can't sprint. I mean, I can sprint, but not in the sense where it's like you have 100 meters and you just sprint faster than the other guys. I can't do that. I can do finishing sprints, like in a race where you're about to finish and you've used so much energy in that race, but you have a little bit left over that you can use to pass like 3 or 4 guys before you finish the race. So, yeah, there's that. And basically, through all this hard work, I have finally made myself into the athlete I am today. But here's the thing, I don't get the respect, and my team does not get the respect it deserves in my town, because people don't see cross country as a sport. And even though it's like the hardest of the sports, I mean, people don't want to admit it, but it is. I'm not saying football isn't hard, because I've seen the practices where the coach can be a literal drill sergeant, and it's just like, move the bag, push it, tackle him, get the sack. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not saying football isn't hard. I'm just saying cross country is not easy, nor is track and field. So I see myself as a pretty good athlete. I mean, if I can run 8.5 miles without stopping, you know, no average person can do that. I mean, maybe they can, but just not as fast as I can do it. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, you know, I've come a long way from where I was just, Dad, I don't want to run, where I'm just like, yeah, running, let's do this, bitch. And what do we do today? Today was a Friday, so we had a super hard workout before the weekend. And I actually got up pretty easily. I got like 7 400-meter sprints. That's all I had to do today. I only had to do 6, but I decided to do 7 because I have this conscience where it's just like, you can run one more, Irish. You can do another one. And I just look to the JV guys. I'm just like, you guys want to run one with me? And they're just like, we'll run the cooldown with you, man. But nah. Well, this commentary has gone well over 10 minutes. Almost 10 minutes and a half, actually. So I do apologize for such a long video, but I really wanted to make this video because, yeah. So anyways, I'm hoping to have a great birthday tomorrow, but I'm not having a party because I'm attending another friend's party who has the birthday on the same day, and we bros, and I gotta, stick up for my bro, show up to his party. We gonna get wasted! But anyways, this is xIrishTricks signing out. Hope you guys enjoyed this little episode of Storytime, and peace.